2 Samuel chapter 8 is a wonderful chapter of victories. David had given God a central place in his kingdom, and in the enjoyment of that, David experienced victory over the surrounding nations. Now, whether it was the Philistines in verse 1, the Moabites in verse 2, the king of Zobah in verse 3, the Syrians in verse 6, or the Edomites in verse 14, the Lord was with David. Twice in this chapter we read these words, the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went, verses 6 and 14. Now we're going to read an interesting little commentary at the end of chapter 8 in verses 15 to 18. And David reigned over all Israel, and David executed judgment and justice unto all his people. And Joab the son of Zeruiah was over the host, and Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud was recorder. And Zadok the son of Ahitub and Ahimelech the son of Abiathar were the priests, and Seraiah was the scribe. And Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over both the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief rulers. Now I'm going to make a confession to you. Whenever someone is talking about something that I was at or involved in, perhaps a meeting at work where I made a number of contributions, I'm always listening carefully to hear whether they're going to mention my name or something that I said. And it can be disappointing when that mention is not made. Now, I mean mildly disappointing. I don't lose sleep over these things or let them eat away at me. Within a very short space of time, I'll probably have forgotten about it anyway. But it is a pleasant experience to be remembered and to be mentioned. So what a pleasant experience it must have been for all of those who were mentioned in the list that we have read today, to be included in the list of those who served the king. It's true that David reigned over all Israel and David executed judgment and justice unto all his people, as we read in verse 15, but he didn't do it single-handedly, and neither could he have. There were many people who were in his service in different roles and doing different things, all for the king. This passage always reminds me that this is how the Lord works with us. He doesn't need to use us the way that earthly kings need other people to help them. But in his grace, he chooses to. And so we learn the wonderful truth that we are workers together with him. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 1. But these people weren't just in the service of the king. They actually had places of honour in his service. For example, Joab the son of Zeruiah was over the host, verse 16. Zadok the son of Ahitub and Abiathar were the priests, verse 17. And then Benaiah, a character whom I'm particularly fond of, the son of Jehoiada, was over both the Kerethites and the Pelethites in verse 18. And that invites this question to me. Why was it that these men were in such honoured positions? Now, there are a number of reasons, no doubt, but what appeals to me most is the fact that these were among the men who had been with David all the time when he had been a rejected man and had been hunted as an outlaw by Saul. So what we learn is this: those who had suffered with David were those who reigned with him. And that's the same thing that Paul tells us in one of his letters. If we be dead with him, we shall also live with him. If we suffer, we shall also reign with him. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verses 11 and 12. What a reminder this short passage is to us, that the Lord will not be forgetful to mark the faithfulness of his people. And it's that should encourage us today and every day to be true to his name in this world in which we live.